Hey, and good Monday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back to you here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having a great, safe weekend out there. And we got plenty to dive into on this update for you here on your Monday morning. We've got the potential for a derecho today. That's a big complex of thunderstorms that could wreak some havoc today. We're going to talk about the oppressive heat, which is going to be very, very bad once again. We've kind of been dealing with it all weekend long, but we do have some changes coming, and we're going to beat back that heat. And we'll also give you an update out in the tropics. A couple areas I'm kind of going to be watching here over the next 7 days to kind of keep an eye on. We're going to get ready to flip the calendar in August, obviously, and things get kind of going there in the tropics. So anyway, before we get going, if you're coming to this broadcast after the live, after the fact, and you have not subscribed to the channel, if you could please help me out, do me a favor, please go hit that subscribe button if you can. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted. And if you got any questions, weather-related questions, you can always post those down below. Again, our motto here is real simple: to keep you prepared and not scared. We give it to you straightforward. And let me put my 25 plus years of experience together as a meteorologist for you and keep you informed without falling for all those social media traps that are out there. God knows there's plenty of them. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this update here for today. Yesterday, we had a place out in Utah out there. They hit 23 degrees. Their normal low was like 45, so that was a cold spot out there. And Arizona down there near Death Valley had 114 yesterday. Those were hot and cold spots yesterday. All right, well, what we're going to be watching today, folks, we got some thunderstorms and rain here across Chicago right now this morning. It's this complex up here in Montana that's going to be rolling this way. That's where we're going to be dealing with that potential derecho for today. So derecho is going to be the kind of our big weather event today on top of the heat that we're dealing with for today. So you might be asking, what exactly is a derecho? Well, in layman's terms, it's basically a complex of thunderstorms. They're multicellular. They kind of feed off each other. And basically, it's a long-lived track storms. They typically have like a little bow echo that's kind of where the winds are really racing out ahead of it. So we're talking about winds that we're expecting today, about 75-mile-per-hour winds. Derecho typically goes over 400 miles. I think this one's going to be a little bit longer than that. And the swath of winds is about 60 miles wide. So that's what a derecho is by definition. So that's what we're looking at here for today. So as we look at our surface map here this morning, again, we're dealing with the rains and some thunderstorms here near the Chicagoland area. Here's our severe weather up here. We're going to be watching here closely. And I'll need to note to myself that I need to make sure that I update my weather tap whenever I come on, because it likes to fall behind a little bit. So anyway, that's what we're looking at for those zones here for today. Now we'll go ahead and zoom into that little area there across the Dakotas. That's where we're dealing with the severe weather here this morning. It's a pretty potent system. I mean, that's pretty nasty. You're seeing all the purple in there. That is probably some pretty good hailers in it. This is the infancy, the start of this potential derecho. So you can see we got that severe thunderstorm warning already out. Golf ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and the damage threat is considerable. So this is for Golden Valley County and North Dakota, southwestern Dunn County, Billings County, south central McKenzie County, western Stark County, and this goes till 7:30. And these will be going on and off, and you're probably going to hear the alerts go off maybe more during this update this morning as this continues to move off toward the east. So Bismarck will be in the path of this thing next, coming into Bismarck, and then it'll kind of race on down to the south. So again, so that's our one event. That's our weather story number one. Obviously, the next weather story today is look how much of the country here is dealing with these heat advisories in some form. Extreme heat there in those purples, and even up here across portions of New England. So we're talking about 40% of the country. I mean, 40% here dealing with some sort of extreme heat advisory. So it's been very, we set multiple record highs across the nation yesterday. We'll probably do it again for today. But the good news is we're really going to be beating this back, especially areas up in here. You guys are really going to see this beat back over the next day or so. And then the rest of the area, especially the southeast, you too will also get a break here by the time we head into this upcoming weekend. Now, with that being said, we're going to see a pattern change. Yes, it's unusual to see a cold front this strong that's going to be coming down at us, but it is going to be short-lived, okay? So it'll hit for a few days, give us a little bit of a summertime break, but then the heat's going to come back. And when I show you the climate outlook there, you'll understand what I'm talking about there into those areas. So we're going to talk about that here more. So let's go ahead and look at your severe breakdown for today. We'll look at the latest here from the Storm Prediction Center. And obviously you see a lot of general thunderstorm threat out there, but the big thing here for today is going to be this derecho event that's going to be racing here out of Montana and coming in across South Dakota. So we're talking about getting in toward Clear Lake, Sioux Falls, Mankato's into this, Pierre, anywhere into this enhanced zone, but a real bullseye right there across portions of South Dakota and going into Minnesota here. Probably going to be more toward tonight the way it's looking. I'll show you the high resolution model data on that here in a second. But let's go ahead and break down the categories on this one for today. I'm going to do this first because it's such a high risk thing. So we're going to tornado risk. Again, possible with derechos. They typically are along that squall line to get these spin ups that can happen. So we're talking about a 5% risk. The green area there going from Rochester, Mason City, that's going to be your 2% risk in there. So that is our bullseye for tornadoes. But the big thing is going to be the wind threat. That's going to be very high. So we're talking winds of 75-mile-per-hour winds. So we're talking about hurricane force or greater with this derecho as it comes out of Montana and comes down into South Dakota and comes into Minnesota here for tonight. And then once it gets overnight, it should lose its punch. But that's a pretty good coverage area. That's definitely more than 400 miles, as you can see with this thing. So that's what we're seeing there. And then obviously you're going to have some hail with us as well. We're already seeing hail out there this morning. And again, we're running about 15% there from Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, all into that zone here for today. So you guys up there, be weather aware. If you're in the path of this thing for today, what you need to make sure you do is make sure you secure anything outside, trash cans, umbrellas, outdoor furniture, stuff like that, just to make sure to prevent damage from, blowing into your own home or your neighbor's house or something like that. Just make sure you're taking care of that stuff before this stuff moves on in here later today. Let's look at our day 2. We'll go take you out here for the start of the new week here. Let's go pull this back out here. So we'll look at your day 2 outlook here. This is only showing marginal. I don't think this is going to stay this way. I really believe this is probably, you're going to see an upgrade here to a slight risk here for tomorrow. I think in some part of that area there for tomorrow, but only a marginal risk here going into your day 2 for Tuesday and day 3 going into Wednesday. We got a couple of pockets here to watch here. This one with an associated cold front that's kind of moving up across the areas of the Northeast. So we're talking about up here getting some, and then back over here in the middle of the country. So we're talking about Omaha, stretching back in through Illinois, Missouri, St. Louis is in that for day 3. That's going in toward your Wednesday. Now we're going to continue to monitor this with these thunderstorms is the excessive rainfall. Very important. Obviously, we've had a lot of deaths this year from flooding, unfortunately. So we're really kind of focusing on the slight risk area, that 15% risk. Obviously, with the derecho moving on in here, we're going to bring some very heavy rains, rainfall amounts up to 2 inches an hour that can cause some localized flooding. That'll be a problem here. Getting pretty close to Chicago, too, so going to watch that closely. Here, Davenport area, Des Moines, getting over toward Kansas City. So we've got several major cities that are in that flood zone here for, this is day 3. I'm sorry, back it up. Boop. I didn't think that looked right for a second, but here it is. My apologies. Okay, so here we go. Day 1, I was like, that didn't look right. My brain was caught up with me there. But anyway, day 1 here is Minneapolis and coming up out of that, where that derecho is coming out of South Dakota, North Dakota, and coming in here. Now we go to day 2. Get my brain working here. Sorry, I haven't had my caffeine yet. All right, so here coming out of the Colorado area, Wyoming area, Montana area, and then coming in here toward Nebraska. So Nebraska, Iowa, this is a nice little swath through here, looking at some heavy rains, and then finally going to day 3. That's what I'm thinking right there. So you got the piece of energy is going to come down there going into day 3, and this will coming into Indiana and into St. Louis and into Kansas City. So we've got several major cities in there going into Wednesday, okay? Now, we do have that marginal risk for a lot of areas here, obviously here across the East Coast for Wednesday, Southeast, and localized flooding. But again, those slight risk ones are the ones that I'm most concerned about here as far as potential isolated flooding. So those are our thunderstorm threats. Now, what's the latest out in the tropics? Let's look out there real quickly before we get into the model data here. Again, right now, the Hurricane Center is not showing anything officially over the next 7 days. I'm not exactly sure that's going to hold out. We'll see. There is a lot of Saharan dust out there. That's been a bit of an inhibitor out there. But I mean, when you look at satellite imagery just first thing this morning, this thing out here really draws my attention immediately, but not expected to do much anything. And we got a couple of decent tropical waves coming off. Now, what the European ensemble was showing is it was trying to develop something out here in the middle here going in as we go toward this upcoming weekend. So going into this upcoming weekend potentially, there was also some potential weakness here off the Carolina coast. So we got a couple areas there just to watch. Again, nothing official, but again, we're getting ready to flip that calendar into August. So, once you get past August 1st, you still got about 83% of the hurricane season still ahead of you there. So that's going to really pick up with the stuff going on into throughout the month. Obviously, we're waiting on Dexter's, our next named storm. And we'll may be looking for something, especially out there in the middle of the Atlantic. It's not unusual to have all that dust out there we currently have out there for the moment. But as we go into August, that should begin to let up a little bit as the trade winds kind of weaken just a little bit there off the African coastline. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our model data here for today. We're going to first focus in on our high resolution model data here. So let's go look at that first. We're going to switch over to this. So we're looking at the NAM here. It's going to take us for the next 60 hours here, kind of throughout the duration of what we're expecting here going into this upcoming weekend. So let me go ahead and let this loop all the way through, and we'll go ahead and stop it here once it gets back to reset. Yeah, there we go. We're going to stop right there. So we're going to be watching, obviously, this area up in here, Montana and in towards South Dakota. That's where we're kind of, that's our derecho. So let's go focus in on this here for today. Again, watch that timestamp there in that upper right-hand corner. That's your little area. So there's our storms dropping down by 2 o'clock coming across the Dakotas there. And it drops on down. Then it really kind of fires up as we head towards 6 o'clock. Remember this. I want to show you that. Let me go back to this real quick. You see where those storms are. You go back here. Look at all the heat. We got all that excessive heat warnings all up in that area. So that is like premium gas for these storms. So we're talking about some pretty good fuel there in what we call CAPE. And there's going to be plenty of it for these storms to feed off. So again, these storms are going to be moving into a very hot air mass here going into the evening hours. And then it really, really spikes up here as we go toward 8 o'clock. So coming in toward areas of Minnesota, pretty good squall line here. So Minneapolis, Sioux Falls needs to be on the lookout here as we go into this through 8 o'clock tonight. And then it really starts bowing out there. So really, Minneapolis, boy, could really be looking at some major trouble here going toward 10, 11 o'clock tonight as this kind of moves on in here. So again, several big cities into this. And then as you notice, as we go to the overnight hours, this thing starts moving into Wisconsin. It starts losing its steam by about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So as it gets into the overnight hours, it will lose its steam. You won't have to worry about that too much there as that kind of settles on down. So you guys in Chicago, I'm not worried about you guys for Tuesday as that kind of settles on down. Now let's see what it develops here going into your Tuesday afternoon here as we get our daytime heating here. Looks like the south, we'll see some scattered storms out here, but no big complex storms just yet. We'll take this a little bit further here. Seeing some storms out here through Kansas, stretching back into New Mexico. Again, this is for your Tuesday, going out to the day there. So that'll kind of move on off. And then we got another little complex of storms coming out of Wyoming into Nebraska again. So we'll have to watch that area there. Again, talking about over here. So we got to watch these complex storms here. And again, that's why I do suspect tomorrow we might see an upgrade, especially with those thunderstorms coming out of Nebraska. I think that right now it's marginal, but I think that might get upgraded. We'll see. All right, so this moves on off toward the east, and then looking pretty decent. You get the storms going through Kansas again here. Looks like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning there, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm sorry, going in toward this zone. So we got just north of the Kansas area going in toward Wednesday as this moves off toward the east there. So that's what we're looking at as far as the short term. A couple of complex of storms to watch. And the big thing is going to be the pattern change that's coming at us. That's going to be a big significant factor. It really shows up nicely here. Check out this loop I've got here of the temperatures. Now you see that purple there, that's our extreme heat. But look at this thing really get beat down here. Oh, this is the NAM going out for 60 hours. We're really going to beat this thing down here going over. So look, we got a pretty good front here coming on down here. So we're going to bring in some cool air in here slowly but surely, beating back that heat. So by the time we get toward 2 o'clock on Thursday, I mean, check out these temperatures. We got 71 degrees in Chicago. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, guys. Check that. I mean, we're talking 75 degrees in Nebraska. You get some 61 degrees there in Indiana. So, I mean, 69 up there in Dakota. So, we're talking about a significant cold front. Very fall-like, very fall-like. We're still moving out of the heat down here in Texas. We got 103 there on Thursday. But we got to get through today, the next couple days first. So, I'm going to back this up here. For example, here for your Monday afternoon at 5 o'clock. I mean, we've got some really heat, 101, 103, I mean, 98. Again, so very, very hot temperatures here across the area. That going in for your Tuesday, and then for your Monday, and then going into your Tuesday. Let's shift out to your Tuesday afternoon. Again, still a lot of heat here. That front really doesn't get moving until we get about Wednesday. So, and thank you for that new subscriber. Just noticed nobody just decided to subscribe for us there, just there. Okay, so this is going to be moving off here toward the east, and then we'll see that heat really get beat back here. So, all right, so we know it's coming. We know we're going to be shrinking that extreme heat down a little bit. Let's look at the feel-like temperatures. Let me switch over to that real quick. I want to show you this. Again, very oppressive heat. Look at this, 111 there in Nebraska, 104 near Sioux Falls. I mean, just 111 near St. Louis, 113 there in the middle of Illinois. I mean, just very, very hot temperatures. All across the southeast, the Carolinas, they see 109, 112, 110, 107. So this is for today. So if you're into those hot zones, just make sure you stay inside as best you can. If you're going to be outside, just take frequent breaks. Make sure you wear sunscreen. Do the smart thing if you're going to be. If you absolutely have to be out in this. Now going into tomorrow, not much of a change here going into Tuesday as far as the coverage area. You still see kind of a big area there, but notice as we go into Wednesday, we're going to trim this back. Oh, look at that. We could trim that back just a little bit here. Start trimming that back here right through there. So the northern plains, you notice if these feel like 78, 81, this looks 80, 60. I mean, this is a whole lot better what we're seeing right now for today, but we'll still be dealing with the heat across Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, the southeast. The rain chances do start to come up by Wednesday, so they'll be helping just a little bit, but still pretty oppressively hot. But we're really going to beat this thing back big time as we head into this upcoming weekend. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the pattern change here that we're expecting. We switch back over here. There we go. All right, so what we're going to be seeing here is a significant cold front that's going to be kind of dropping on down here. Now, this is going to be kind of a glancing blow. What we're going to kind of see is the heat is going to begin to shift to the west here a little bit, and then here across Canada as we go into the end of the week. So what we're going to see is this backdoor front that's going to come down. We're going to see this thing kind of drop down and like this, and it really kind of cool things off here, especially across the eastern third of the United States. Northeast, you're going to see a significant cool down here, but this is going to be short-lived. Okay, so this is going to be taken on out. You notice we kind of lift that trough out going toward the middle of next week, and it's going to quickly warm back up. So going beyond, say, the 7th or so, we'll see a quick warm up in these temperatures, although we got another little shot coming down here on the 10th on the long-range model run. Again, if we're kind of looking at forecast trends. So looks like the northern branch is going to stay a little bit semi-active here. And even though we're going to have that ridge going into Canada here, going in toward this upcoming weekend, that's going to beat it back down. So I think things here across the country are going to briefly cool down for a pretty good chunk of it. And I'll show you the climate outlook here in a second. And then we'll see a quick rebound going out for days 10 through 14. So that's what we're seeing here on the height anomaly map as far as where the troughs are kind of setting up there. So let's look at your forecast here. Again, what we're going to see here over the next 7 days is this nice little trough coming in here across the east. We're going to see things really begin to cool down here. Let me slow this down here. So as we go into the afternoon, obviously we're going to be watching that derecho up here across the plains. That's the big thing here for today, going into Tuesday. And then as we go into this upcoming weekend, as we go into Wednesday, start seeing these isobars here, these lines of equal pressure in here. They really start to fall. So that's our frontal system. Okay, that's our front coming on in here. That's going to enhance the rain chances, but we're going to see that cool air kind of dumping on into areas of the Great Lakes and into the Northeast, and it will make its way into the Southeast. Now, it's going to be a combination of some dry air coming into the south, so we got this high that's going to be shifting in here going into this upcoming weekend. This is going to be forcing in a little bit of a northeasterly wedge as that high begins to shift off toward the east. That frontal system is going to stall here across the south, so your temperatures are going to drop off not only because of the high pressure, but also the clouds and rain chances are going to increase significantly. So for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, going to the southeast, you guys are going to see more rain chances. Northeast is going to be gorgeous. I mean, this weekend in the Northeast is going to be absolutely gorgeous with that high pressure moving in there for Saturday and Sunday. Northeast looking great. The middle of the country will start to warm back up here again, and we'll see things kind of settle on down here as we go on out here beyond the 7 day. Again, I don't show you anything beyond the 7 day here on the precipitation because it really is an extrapolation at that point. So again, looks like unsettled for the southeast. Northeast looks great going to this upcoming weekend after the cool down. But looks like the west coast continues to stay quiet and unfortunately dry out there for those folks. Now, with a couple of the things going on, obviously with the derecho that's going to be dropping in, here's that rain air kind of hovering in through there. Air mass thunderstorms are going to increase across the southeast, and we got that pretty good cold front that's going to come into New England. So your next 7 days, rainfall-wise, this is those thunderstorms there, storms across the north, New England, storms across the southeast, kind of increase there as well. So I'm going to take this out to the end of this loop. We'll go and zoom in on a couple of areas here just to be watchful. One thing that obviously caught my attention, is kind of catching my eyeball here, is the Northeast. So Boston, Massachusetts, down in toward New York City. Some pretty good heavy rains in there as that frontal system brings in a line of thunderstorms here across the New England area here going into this upcoming week, or toward the end of this week as that high pressure builds in. Got some pretty good rains here across Iowa. This is part of that derecho. It's going to be kind of dumping some pretty good heavy rains in here, up to near 2 to 4 inches in this zone as that kind of tracks off in this direction. The southeast, we're going to see just rain chances increasing. Most of this from air mass thunderstorms that are going to be increasing as we're going to increase the moisture. The high pressure that's bringing you the heat wave now is going to be breaking down. So we'll see things begin to improve there across Alabama and Georgia. So some good news there as far as the rain. It's been kind of hot and dry here last week or so. So some nice needed rain here across the southeast. All right, so let's go and talk about the climate outlook as we kind of wrap things up here. I want to point out a couple of things here. Again, this is the outlook here as we go in toward the 2nd through the 6th, okay? So you see the below normal temperatures over a big part of the country. Very unusual to see this, guys. Very unusual. But you're still going to see the heat back here across the Southwest and Texas as that begins to shift off. A little below normal here across the West Coast as well. But look what happens as we go out to 8 to 14. Big warm up. It's going to warm up real quick. So again, we'll take the summertime break. Nobody's complaining. I'm not one of them. So we'll take it. But it looks like the heat will come right back at us as we go in from the 8th to the 14th. Now, for the same period, 6th to the 10th, we're going to see below normal precipitation here across New England because of that nice cool air mass that's going to be settling up there. With the front stalling here across the south, we'll see above normal precipitation here, above normal here across that active northern jets continue to stay active up there toward Washington State and Idaho. And we're a little bit on the dry side down here toward the desert Southwest and into Nevada and Arizona. So that'll continue there from the 6th to the 10th. 8th to the 14th still stays kind of dry out there in the west for the most part. Still got a fairly active track up here across the north, and it looks like a little bit above here along the Gulf Coast. So again, we've got a lot of things to watch here. Obviously, we got that developing derecho as we speak right now. That's kind of taking place right now. I'm going to switch the satellites over real quick, assuming they've got this thing fixed. It was down when I started, but I always like to keep my lightning data up here real quick. So let me switch this over. It's all right. It's back up. Good. Like when it's down. All right, so you kind of see. But again, this is what we're going to be watching, this cluster right up here for today. And it will be swinging this way. So I might do some live coverage today. It really will depend on if I can get my new chat program. You guys know I love to interact with you guys on a regular basis. I want to start doing it for these live dailies to kind of answer questions and stuff. I had a Chat Ninja program where I could pull up y'all's questions and stuff on the screen. I did find a replacement. But I'm not the most technical guy in the world when it comes to this computer stuff. So I got to figure out how to bring it into my OBS software so we can do these one-on-ones. Again, I appreciate you guys checking out the broadcast here. Again, this is going to be a new daily thing, start at 8:30 every morning. And we'll give you guys update and get you up to date on the weather information for the day and for the days ahead. Now, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help get our number there. We're at AG18 right now. And hopefully, we're going to try to get to 10,000 by the time we get to 1 October. Hopefully, it'll all be dependent on if the tropics behave, because typically that's where we get our big bang for our buck when we get our live broadcasts going. All right. Anyway, that is y'all's update for today. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see y'all tomorrow, or maybe later this afternoon. We'll see, or heading into tonight with that derecho. We'll see. But we'll see you again real soon. You guys have a good day.